Everybody can settle down and tell up here at our event. As always, we would like to start our event. We give our opportunity to our young kids to recite some surah. We have Syed Mustafa Yaqub. He will recite Surah Shams for us.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا طلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها والنفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذب الثمود بدعواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها. الله العظيم.
ما شاء الله. شكرا. मैं सैयद मुर्तजा इंजियान से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि सूरह काला सुनाइए।
من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا وينذر الذين قالوا اتخذ الله ولدا ما لهم به من علم ولا آبائهم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم إن لم تزد فلأنهم أشد إنهم يؤمنوا بهذا الحديث أسفا جعلنا ما الأرض زينة لها لنبلوهم أيهم أحسن عملا وإنا لجاعلون السماء عليها سيدا فما صدق أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا إذ والفتية من الكهف فقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهب لنا من أمرنا رشدا. الله العظيم.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया जी अपना तब से करो। अब मैं Syed Mustafa. Yeah, I'm saying so. Request from God to Surah al recite.
الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها المزمل قم الليل قليلا نصفه والقسم قليلا أو زد عليه قليلا إن سنلقي عليك قولا ثقيلا إن ناشئة الليل هي أشد وطئا وأقوم قيلا إن لك في النهار صبحا طويلا واذكر اسم ربك وتبتل إليه تبتيلا رب المشرق والمغرب لا إله إلا هو فاتخذه واصبر على ما يقولون واهجرهم هجرا جميلا وذرني والمكذبين وجنهم ومهجرهم قليلا إن لدينا أنكالا وجحيما وطعاما ذا غصة وعذابا عليما يوم ترجف الأرض والجبال وكانت الجبال كثيرا مهيلا إنا أرسلنا إليكم رسولا شاهدا عليكم كما أرسلنا إلى فرعون رسولا فعسى فرعون الرسول فأخذناه أخذا وبيلا فكيف تتقون إن كفرتم يوما يجعل الولدان شيبا السماء منفطر به إن كان وعده مفعولا إن هذه تذكرة فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه سبيلا إن ربك يعلم أنك تقوم أدنى من ثلثي الليل ونصفه وطائفة من الذين معك والله يقدر الليل والنهار علم أنكم تكسبوا فتاب عليكم فاقرأوا ما تيسر من القرآن علم أن سيكون منكم مرض وآخرون يضربون في الأرض يبتغون من فضل الله وآخرون يقاتلون في سبيل الله ما تيسر منه وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأقرضوا الله قرضا حسنا تكذبوا بأنفسكم من خير تجدون عند الله هو خير وعظم أجرا واستغفر الله إن الله غفور رحيم. صدق الله العظيم.
To move our mind forward, what the Mahdavia Foundation is doing in our community. Obviously, Mahdavia Foundation was established in the 90s. Originally, we would just publish books for faith, Mahdavia faith, and later on, about 3 or 4 years ago, we started reaching out to the community and holding these type of events. So, especially in the suburbs where we have our community has grown quite well, alhamdulillah. And a lot of our members who are in Mahdavia Foundation are mostly in the suburban community, and obviously they have kids, and this is the main reason Mahdavia Foundation has been established to create a sense of community. That is the biggest reason, and as you all know, that all our kids, majority of the time they spend time in schools, and what type of social that they get is totally different than what we are trying to establish, and that is the biggest reason Mahdavia Foundation has kind of expanded, and that's what we're seeing right now. And thank you for everybody for coming and making these events successful. With that saying, we also have programs, which is Mahdavia Sunday schools that we're doing. And Hazrath Syed Mohammed Sahab, he has volunteered every Sunday, and his unwavering commitment to come in, teach our young kids, basics about Islam, how to pray namaz, basics about Mahdavia, all these things that we are lacking. That saying, we also have we cannot forget about our sisters. We have a ladies book club that every month they have a gathering. If ladies would like to find out more about it, please reach out through promisemehdi.com website. And anybody who has any questions, we also have something called an Ask a Scholar, which you could ask questions through our website regarding anything that you are concerned about. And finally, the main event that we held this for. Now it is my pleasure to welcome Peer-o-Murshid Hazrath Syed Mohammed Sarfraz Mahdi Sahab Qibla to address the event. Yeah. Alhamdulillah wal minna wassalatu wassalamu ala al-fatihin bil bayyinati wal jannati wa ala alihi wa sahbihi alladhina hum fazu bi nafsil mutmainna amma ba'd faqad qala Allah ta'ala fi al-Quran al-Majid فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونفس من الأعمال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون صدق الله العظيم. Dear brothers and sisters in faith, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a great pleasure to address you all here like this. Mahdavia Foundation for giving me this opportunity to speak to my fellow brothers and sisters, community and members of the community. When all this started, I was wondering what should be the topic for today. What should I be discussing with you today? And I kept asking different people different things. They all came up with different ideas. They all had a different idea. And in the end, I decided not to fix today's topic very early, and rather I should wait till the end and see how it goes. So when they opened up the portal to receive questions, where they have a program called Ask a Scholar, so through that I received certain questions, and Brother Syed Mohammed today, he compiled them all and sent me. And after having read those questions, I have come to a conclusion that all this, the nature of questions that we are receiving, the kind of problems that we are facing, and the issues that our community is facing here in America, especially in America, and in general everywhere in the world, problems are not much different. And the very basis of these problems is nothing more than ignorance. It has been more than 600 years since we have been giving replies to the same questions. Not a single question is new. They have kept on asking about these questions since last 600 years. And we have been giving them replies since last 600 years. But the problem is that these questions were raised earlier by the people who were against us. And now we have to reply to our own people. Now we have to reply to our own people. The difference between what has happened during 60s and 70s of the 20th century, before and after the 60s and 70s of the 20th century, what was different in our community when it comes to our belief system? There were two things. One was a belief system and the other was its culture. There was a belief system to which we call deen. And there is another thing called culture, जिसे हम कहते हैं तहजीब. How we behave with our elders. What are the terms of respect towards elders? How we deal with our youngers. All these things, how we eat, how we walk, how we talk, how we sit, how we go to sleep, everything, in every practice, there was an element which was meant to facilitate the practical implementation of deen in your life. So in other words, our culture was something which was meant to preserve our deen. And it all started during 60s and 70s of the 20th century. I will go back there and we should start our talk from there. When Mahdi Mohammed received from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the knowledge about Laylatul Qadr, he gathered his fuqara of Daira, conducted a congregation and did 2 rakat Dugane Laylatul Qadr. After that, the very first dua that Mahdi Mohammed recited was an ayat from Quran Majid, and it says, Allahumma ahyayna miskini wa amitni miskini wahshurna yawmal qiyamati fi zumratil masakin. It means, oh Allah, make me live like a humble servant. Give me death like a humble servant. And make sure that I end up on the day of judgment among those who you consider as your humble servants. ये आप अगर वो मन करके उधर नहीं खरीद बैठे तो अच्छा है. नहीं आपका माइक ऑफ है. Please come to the front. ऐसा करें आप उसमें बेस को पूरी तरीके से कट कर दीजिए. बेस का नॉब जो रहता है उसको कट कर दीजिए. So this is what the ayat of Quran was that Mahdi Mohammed recited as his first dua after dua Laylatul Qadr. He asked for life like a humble servant. He asked for death like a humble servant. And he wanted his destination to be among those who Allah considers to be his humble servants. And this is what
this community has practiced for 5 centuries, and it was late into 6th century when all this started. A sudden change in economic conditions. Murshid was poor, his fuqara were poor, his murideen were poor. So the entire setup was humble. A murid has to be rich for the daira to become rich, for fuqara to become rich, and murshid to become rich. So this is the order of influx of money in the community. If you talk in terms of community, this is how the changes started. And there were those who were living within the household of Murshideen, who were meant and supposed to teach to this community that life of a humble servant is not the life of a loser. This is where I want to draw your attention towards. I am a faqir. I may be lacking in resources. I may not have a house the way you have. I may not have a car the way you have. I may not have a life the way you have in terms of finances. But am I a loser? Is it because I was incapable of competing with you? Is that what it was meant? Is that what it was supposed to be? No. Absolutely not. When it came to making a decision, my grandfather, Hazrath Maulana Abu Syed Mohammed Sarfraz Sahab Qibla was advised by his brother to make one of his physically handicapped child as his janasheen so that he could survive. So my grandfather said, if I ever have to give one of my childs in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that child has to be the best among my children, not the worst. If my father was a faqir, a humble man, a humble servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that did not mean that he was incapable of earning the worldly fortunes that people are earning today. He could have easily become a doctor, he could have easily become an engineer, he could have done wonders in his life when it, in reference to the worldly materialistic gains. But he served as a humble servant of Allah, not in regret. He was the happiest man I have ever seen in my life. And that makes me say that he was the most successful man that I have ever seen in my life. He was more successful than the President of America. He was more successful than any Muslim king that is sitting on Islamic fortunes today. That is because he was not living the life with regret. And he was true to what he believed. In Dugana, when he said, Allahumma hiyana miskino. So this community, when Mahdi Muhammad Salam requested, when Mahdi Muhammad recited this ayah, his fuqara, his ashab from behind said, Mahdi Muhammad Salam, why don't you include Allahumma hiyana? And here in me, when you say me, it means me. So they said, why don't you include us in your dua? And Sahaba said, the people of this community, they said, why don't you include us in your dua? Mahdi Muhammad said, instead of miskini, Mahdi Muhammad said, miskina. That is the plural form. Allahumma hiyana miskina. Oh Allah, make us all live the life of a humble servant. Now, it was the dua of Mahdi Muhammad, which was meant to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now we are running against the dua. Let us see who wins. Does this does the characteristic of this community will survive, or the innate desire for the materialistic gains, the monetary gains of this community will win? Who will? Who will strive forward? There will always be a fakir left. And when it comes to numbers, in Quran, Allah Ta'ala has many times clearly stated, Wala aksaran nasa la yu'minun. Allah is not worried about the numbers. Allah Ta'ala is not worried about the numbers. How many of you will become a Muslim does not make any difference. The difference is made by mu'minin, iman wale jo honge, wahi batla sakenge. Those who just have accepted Islam are insignificant in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La tadkhulul imana fi qulubikum. Quran says, ईमान उनके दिल में दाखिल भी नहीं हुआ है. तालतिल अराबु आमन अराबी ये कहते हैं कि हम ईमान लाए हैं, मगर वाकया ये है कि ईमान उनके दिल में भी अभी दाखिल नहीं हुआ. तो बात ये थी कि लोग जो अपने आप को मदनी समझ रहे थे, वो दर हकीकत उनके दिलों में अभी ईमान का कतरा भी दाखिल नहीं हुआ. ये वो लोग थे 60s और 70s के, youth of 60s and 70s, hippies, you know, बड़े कॉलर, बेल बॉटम का जमाना है, हिप्पी बॉटम. They had big bells, bell bottoms in the pants, and when they used to walk on the mud, there is an exhibition, annual exhibition, commercial exhibition in Hyderabad that is held every year in the month of January. So during that time, when you enter in that ground, people who have witnessed that, they say that the dust used to rise from everywhere because of these bells. Bell bottoms. So that was the time of hippies, you know, rock and every new thing. And these people coming from humble background, Mahdavia background, they were exposed to the new kind of worldly temptation. Open up your shop. You know, they're doing all sorts of new junk. and they were tired of humility. They no longer wanted to live the life of humble servants. Then the hypocrisy started. They've come to Dugana as a cultural practice, not as a religious practice. In their actions, they do not have the intent of a religious person. The intent behind the practice was not more than any cultural practice. It was conducted as a cultural practice. It is, to this day, done that way. And they go there, and the first dua they do after Dugana Laylatul Qadr is Allahumma iyayna miskin. Then you are praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for humility. And the moment you turn around, go out of the masjid, the first thought you get in your mind that may Allah accept all my duas that I did in sajda. After making the dua for Iman, in Iman, when I asked Iman from Allah, that meant humility. And immediately after asking humility, I asked to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make my business prosperous. I asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise my financial status. I asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise my socio-political status in the society. The hypocrisy started during 60s and 70s. The hippies started. And they were tired of this religion and community. They wanted to go out of the dark. It was not, neither America was the desired destination, nor the Gulf was desired destination, nor somewhere else was the desired destination. The desire was to come out of the humility. People from children of Murshideen, their fuqara, children of their fuqara, children of their murideen, those who lived in the daira, lived the life of humble servants in the daira. Now they wanted to ask for feathers, wings. They wanted to fly out of this miserable low life that their forefathers have been living. Now they started hating. Look at this. Is this what life is called? Look at those hippies, how wonderful life they are living. They are doing whatever they want to do. They are living the life, enjoying the life. With this thought, they started going out of balance. With this thought, they started going out of balance. One of my uncles, when he was coming to United States, my grandfather, Hazrath Syed Mohammed Sarfraz Qibla, said to him that remember my words before you go. You go like a murghabi. Murghabi is a kind of a water bird. When you go into dunya, you're going out of dharana. When you go into dunya, you go like a murghabi, a duck, a water bird. What this bird does, it swims, floats as if it is floating on the water. It dives inside the water to get its food. It spends its most of time in and out of this water. But when it flies, when it starts running on the water and when it gets airborne, when it flies, not a single drop of water remains on its body. It gets out and flies completely dry. So my grandfather told one of my uncles when he was coming to the United States, if you are going into dunya out of daira, go like a murghabi, and when you come back, do not bring a drop of dunya with you in daira. This is the thought of a mu'min. This is how a mu'min is supposed to think. This is what a mu'min is. And when people started coming to this part of the world, started to go to Gulf, wherever they were going to earn their livelihood, they were faced with different belief systems. And now when they were living inside Iraq, they started hating their own culture, they started hating their own way of living, they started hating their own religion. And they never have learned how to do namaz. I'm seeing more youth coming into masjid now. I'm seeing more younger people doing their namaz, roza, and religious practices now. When I was a kid and when I was looking at the teenage people and the adult people of 80s and 90s, all they used to do is come to masjid only on Dugana and Tarawih and Bahrain. Young people have had the idea that Allah has forgiven them from namaz. They don't have to do namaz. That was the way of life during that period. Younger generation today is 200 times better than what the younger generation was during 80s and 90s that I've seen. Through my own eyes, these eyes, live about thinking, listening and learning from somebody else. I've seen it, witnessed it. And those who were adults in 80s and 90s, and now they are almost old people. Some have started doing namaz, and some are still resilient. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to live the life of a religious person. So because they started hating their own religion and culture, and they wanted to live the worldly life, the materialistic life, the life to which Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says in Quran Majid, Dalika mata'al hayat dunya. ये मताए हयात की जो जिंदगी की ख्वाहिश थी लोगों को अब वो उस तरह की जिंदगी जीने लगे. Going to job in the morning, man is going in one direction, woman is going in the other direction, children are going in the other direction. And at the end of the day, they all are so tired that they don't even want to talk to each other about anything, let alone the religion. And as a result of that, the children, when they were exposed to these Jamaats which behave like Christian missionaries standing on the corners of the street, they are funded by the governments. They are funded by the kingdoms. They have enormous money standing behind them. A boy who was this skinny, after joining this Jamaat, within a year, he was weighing 3 times more than what he was. That kind of a money they have with them. And when your children are exposed to people like this, you haven't learnt anything from your elders. You haven't taught anything to your children. And your children don't know anything. They are a blank slate. Neither they have seen your elders, nor they have seen your daira. They haven't learned what your belief system is. They haven't seen the literature that you have seen in your life or your elders have seen in your life. They don't have access to the information that you had, that you chose not to take. These children are vulnerable now. They are exposed without any protection to these vultures. And people like me, and in my position, they are enjoying it because you don't desire it, so I don't have to work hard for that. So, आप चाहते भी वही थे, मैंने किया भी वही. मेरे को मेहनत करना नहीं था, कुछ जरूरत भी नहीं थी. तो पूरी एक कौम की एक ब्रीड, लीडर से लेके फॉलोअर तक इनकेपेबल तैयार हुई. Inefficient, incapable of representing Deen and Mahdi anywhere, not even within your household. It's a shame. We are living in this era where we have brought this shame upon ourselves, all by ourselves, not somebody else. And I would like to discuss a few things before getting on to my subject, because unless I give you the background, unless I give you the proper context, you will not learn anything. I don't want to entertain you. I want to make you realize where you stand. I want to show you the mirror. I want you to realize in what grave situation you are. Your survival is at stake as a man. And you must realize what will you lose if you lose Mahdavia. You must realize that. एक शेर मैंने कहा था उर्दू ज़बान में नाते मेहदी का, कि मेहदी का दीन छोड़ने वालों सुनो जरा, मेहदी का दीन छोड़ने वालों सुनो जरा, आकर जरूर कहना तुम्हें जाके क्या मिला. Did you start a new namaz? Did you add up anything in your religious practices? You have achieved nothing but a veil to hide your shame. एक पर्दा चाहिए था तुमको अपने मुंह पर डालने के लिए, अपनी शर्म को छुपाने के लिए कि तुमने अपने हिस्से का काम नहीं किया. वो इंसान जो अपने घर से, अपने दीन से, अपने दायरे से बेजार होकर निकला है, आज अचानक उसके पास किसी मुलाटे के पास बैठकर घंटा भर उसका वाज सुनने का वक्त है. अपने बच्चों की उंगलियां पकड़कर उनकी मसाजिद को ले जाने का वक्त. क्या शर्म की बात. जिसने अपने बाप की इज्जत नहीं की वो पड़ोसी की इज्जत करना चाहता है और अपने आप को मुसलमान साबित करके अपनी शर्म को छुपाना चाहता है और ये कहना चाहता है कि हम और तुम सब एक हैं. अरे भाई मेरे, कोई एक नहीं है. Nobody is one. Let me recite you what they think about each other. You ask the Barelvi, there are fatwas. If you want, I can read it. Or else I will just mention and go ahead. You can do your part of research if you want. Otherwise, you can ask me, I can send you the literature that I'm utilizing. You ask a Barelvi, he will not even eat the zabiha of the hands of a Deobandi. According to a Barelvi, every other sect of Islamic faith is a kafir and they will not recite their prayers behind them. According to a Deobandi, everybody is a kafir except them. According to an Ahle Hadith, everybody is a kafir except them. According to a Shia, everybody is a kafir except them. And according to a Mahdavi, everybody is a kafir except them. Yes, we do have that position. There is nothing in hiding. Why would I hide? जिस तरह ये सब एक दूसरे को काफर कहते हैं, हम भी बाकी के लोगों को अपने अलावा जितने हैं सबको काफर कहते हैं, इसमें क्या परेशानी की बात है? अब फैसला तुमको ये करना है कि तुम किसकी नजर में काफिर होना कबूल करते हो. Who is more important to you? No matter what you choose as your school of thought in Islam. And there is another hypocrite Jamaat that calls itself as a mainstream Sunni Muslim. There is nothing called mainstream Sunni Muslim. This is Quran, this is Hadith. Now let us see a new Muslim come and teach me, after reading this Quran and Hadith, how will I do my namaz, how will I do my roza, how will I live my life, all my fiqh masail. Let a new Muslim come, learn and teach me how he does that. Let me see how he does it. It took centuries for people to come to a conclusion. That is how a school of thought is developed. And out of nowhere, these idiots are thinking that we all are together in understanding Quran, in understanding Hadith, and in understanding the fiqh. No, my dear friend, you aren't doing it on your own. Either you are learning your ways of namaz from a Deobandi or Barelvi or Ahle Hadith or any of these pre-existing schools of thought. You haven't learned anything from Quran and Hadith. Come out of this delusion. So if you choose any school of thought from the pre-existing schools, you are a kafir in the eyes of rest of them. So it is up to you to decide which school of thought you want and in the eyes of whom you want to become a kafir. By God, खुदा की कसम मैं अपने बाप की नजर पर तो काफिर बनना नहीं चाहता. अगर मुझे लेके जाके किसी जामे अजहर का प्रेसिडेंट बना दे भी तो नहीं, अगर अरबिया का बादशाह बना दे भी तो नहीं, सारी दुनिया का बादशाह बना दे भी तो नहीं, मैं अपने बाप की नजर में काफिर बन के नहीं मरना चाहता. मैं अपने बाप की नजर में काफिर बन के नहीं मरना चाहता. काफिर तो है आप, किसी ना किसी की आंखों में, किसी ना किसी की नजर में काफिर तो है. सवाल ये है कि मोमिन किसकी नजर में बनना चाहते हैं? Who do you want to look up to you as a momin? That is my question, and that should be your question to yourself. Did you do justice in learning your own belief system? Have you learned Quran? Have you learned Naqliyat? Did you spend any time in learning your own religion? How insecure people you are, how pathetic, how shameful this community has become. इस कदर शर्मिंदा कि अपनी आइडेंटिटी छुपाना चाहते. एक ऐसे जमाने में जिस जमाने में एक आदमी मर्द पैदा हुआ है, he is born a man and he wants himself to be identified as a woman, he will not hesitate and call himself as a woman. In this era, you are ashamed of being a Mahdavi. How pathetic is that? You want to conceal your identity just because you have a business partner who happens to be a Sunni. Maybe somebody's daughter has fallen in love with a Sunni and married him. Maybe somebody's son has fallen in love with somebody from outside of the community. Now, what would you do as a result of that? It can happen to anybody. You may be working in an office with your superior, maybe a Sunni Shia, belonging to somebody, some other belief system, not a my belief. He may be very strict about his belief system. He may be hating you. He may be hurting you. He is may be trying to hatch conspiracies against you. He may be trying to hold you from growing in your position. All sorts of possibilities are there. But what will you do? How will you behave in that situation? What should be your position? Quran says. Quran tells you how to behave. Quran tells you how to behave in a situation like this. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala in Surah Baqarah, Ayat 155 says, I don't know why I'm taking the numbers and giving the references. This was not a practice really like. These days, people are asking for references. So, somehow I started this.
They are impressed with Dr. Knight.
Oh, yeah. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala in Quran Majid says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ. ये अल्लाह का फरमान है. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ. Allah will test you with something. If you are a Muslim, if you are a Mu'min, Allah will test you. You will not go untested. To pass here in this world, as a Mu'min, as a Muslim, you will have to go through a test. Allah Himself is telling in Quran, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ. One thing or the other. Something. Allah will test you with something. And what that something could be. Min al-khawfi. With fear. He may make you face your fears. Wal-ju'i. Hunger. Hunger can be your test. Your fears can be your test. وَنَقْسِمْ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ. Scarcity of wealth. Well, unforeseen. Loss of life. Loss of wealth, loss of life, hunger, fear, and in the end, Allah says, what thamarat, and the fruits. You may be a farmer, you may be up to something, and that is not fruiting. It is possible. Loss of yield, agricultural yield, that is possible. So, Bashir is strawberry. बशारत इन लोगों के लिए है इस खबर करें. Give the good tidings to those who will do sabr, who will be patient. Now, immediately after this, there is an ayah which we recite. Normally, when I will read the ayah, alladhina idha asabathum musibatum. And those, when they are faced with something difficult, something musibat, qalu कहते हैं, says, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun. When do you say inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun? Somebody passes. When you hear from somebody that somebody has passed away, the first thing people say is, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun. But nobody has taught you because you have been ignorant towards your religion. that when you are faced with your fears, say inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. What that was meant for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it returns back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this fear should also return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm afraid of nothing else but Allah's zat. Say inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. When you are faced with your fears, and then when you are hungry, you are unable to bear this. Say inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Allah will give you sabr on your hunger. Allah will give you sabr on your fears. Allah will give you sabr on your materialistic, worldly, wealth, monetary losses. And when somebody dies, then also say, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. The thing is that you need to have a strong belief that everything is supposed to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing in this world is forever. You may be a custodian of $1 billion today, but that is not your wealth. You are nothing more than a custodian. Allah has allowed you to sit on that wealth. And as long as Allah has allowed you to sit on that wealth, you are its custodian, not its malik, not its owner. And be humble. Humility is not decided by how much money you have in your pocket or in your bank. Humility is decided by how you think, how you see yourself. I have seen people who have nothing, who have so much of arrogance that even a king will not have such kind of arrogance. Yes, I've seen people like that. Where did that come from? गरीब लोग जिस जेब में हमारे पास हैदराबाद एक रफ तरीका है बोलने का, इसको पकड़ के मारे तो 2 रुपए जेब में से नहीं निकलते, तो शांत से बेइज्जती उसकी जेब में 2 रुपए बाहर नहीं निकलेंगे अगर पकड़ के मारेंगे, मगर उसको पता नहीं किसी बात का गुरूर है, और वो किस बात का है गुरूर उसको भी मालूम नहीं. Arrogance. So this arrogance is not because he has a lot of wealth. He is an arrogant man. When we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about humility, yes, we don't want a lot of money in our pockets because we have to give the accounts for that much of money. All we ask to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that you give us enough to live this life respectfully. Thank you very much. That is for the Kasibins. And for people like me, my father said, I will not ask for food to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the day I am hungry. Allah जिस दिन ना दे उस दिन अल्लाह से हम खाना कभी नहीं मांगेंगे कि हमारी फकीरी के खिलाफ. ये मेरे वालिद से सीखा मैंने कि जिस दिन खाना नहीं है उस दिन खाने के लिए दुआ करना भी फकीर के लिए जायज नहीं. उसका तवक्कुल ऐसा होना चाहिए. अब उसके पास क्या आता है क्या जाता है ये सारी चीजें गैर अहम है, इसकी कोई अहमियत नहीं है. तो मैं आपको बताना ये चाहता था कि आप इस शर्मिंदगी से बाहर निकल के आइए. आपको शर्मिंदा होने की जरूरत नहीं है. मिर्जा गुलाम अहमद कादियानी के मानने वाले उनको नबी मान रहे हैं. पाकिस्तान में उनके साथ क्या क्या जुल्म हो रहा है आप देख लीजिए, जो भी हो रहा है. मगर उसके बावजूद अपने आप को सुन्नी बोलने के लिए तड़प तो नहीं जा रहे हो. ये सारा मसला किसका है कि किसी के फाइनेंशियल, किसी के सोशल, किसी के कमर्शियल टाइज जो बाहर वालों के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, ये वो लोग हैं. और जितने भी गए हैं उनके बैकग्राउंड में अगर आप रीजन निकाल के देखेंगे तो आइदर इट इज इकोनॉमिक रीजन, आइदर इट इज बेटा बेटी का देन लेन का रीजन, और एनी जॉब का रीजन, एजुकेशन का रीजन. अल्लाह के वास्ते एक आदमी बता दे जो अल्लाह के लिए कौम को छोड़ कर गया. और जितने गए हैं उनके बैकग्राउंड में अगर आप रिसर्च करेंगे तो सब 90% सूदखोर मिलेंगे. आप बैकग्राउंड में सूद है उनके. या नहीं तो ऐसे शर्मिंदा खातिर लोग जो भूख और प्यास और गुर्बत और तंगी को अपने लिए इफ्लास और नहुसत समझते थे और डायरेक्ट छोड़कर दुनिया में जब निकले अपने मुर्शिदों के घरों को, अपने दायरों को, तो इस शर्मिंदगी के एहसास के साथ निकले। एक छोटा सा डू आई हैव टाइम कैन आई स्पीक इंग्लिश? I was sitting at Malaysia's Kuala Lumpur airport, and in the center they have a very beautifully planned airport. They have a central hub. From there they have corridors like this, and like this, and like this. People come, go there, come here, go there, come here. Transit passengers coming from one side and going to the other side. You know, all these aisles. They have many aisles like that. So I was sitting there as a student of life. Allah says, "Inna fi sab'i samawati wal ardi wa ikhtilafi al-layli wan nahar." Whatever is there in the creation of the skies and the earth, there are signs for those. La ayatin li ulil albab. There are signs for those who are capable of thinking. So I have always thought about myself as a thinking, humble servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I was, as a student of life, I was sitting there and noticing people coming and going. A Chinese is coming from this side and going on this side. An Indian is coming from this side and going on the other side. You know, people coming and going, coming and going. White man came and gone with a confidence. He would mind his own business, wasn't worried about anything. He was just casually walking through the aisles and he went past me. A black man passed, a Chinese man passed without any hindrance. He was going from there without thinking about what others are thinking about me. I mean, they were so confident about their appearance, their looks, and their identity that they were not ashamed of themselves and they wouldn't think that what others are thinking about themselves. They may be wearing shorts, they may be wearing something, or they may not be wearing something. They're not worried about anything. They're just minding their own business and walking past you. And while sitting there, I could see every Indian pass through that place in front of me, looking like this, with curious eyes. What he might be thinking about? What this man might be thinking about? What that woman might be thinking about? Is my dress all right? Is my makeup all right? Is my bag, good enough to compete with the others? एहसास से कम तर inferiority complex का शिकार. And even in America, if you see, the most economically prosperous foreign community is India. And despite that, you look into their eyes. Lack of confidence. Sharminda, inferior. That's how they look around. Why is that? It may not come down to that, but I will walk through the aisles of this world and that world with the confidence in my eyes, and I will make a poster, and on that poster I will write Mahdavia, and I will hold that poster and walk through the aisles of this life and that life, even if I am left alone. That is me as a Mahdavia. And let this world come to me. I will talk. If you want to talk in context with the Quran, let us sit together and talk. Let's go. And when you ask me a question, you have no privileges whatsoever. You come from a background that has dirt, mud, कीचड़ भरा हुआ है गंदगी दुनियादारी का. You have no privileges over me. If you ask me a question, I will ask you a question in return. That's how it goes. Come on, let's talk. You asked me about my message receipt. Who are you? You all are kafir in terms of each other. You first settle your own scores and then come to us. We are ready. We have replied you when you asked a question using a sword. We replied you. When you asked us the question using a pen, we replied you. When you asked us a question using your words, we replied you. We have been giving you replies for the past 600 years, and you haven't come up with a single new question. Is that all you can ask? All these books are filled with the answers to your questions. We have been doing that. Now, 25 years ago, my master, Peer-o-Murshid Hazrath Syed Tashreefullahi Sahab Qibla, he explained what are the beliefs of a Mahdi. If you call me a kafir based on these beliefs, can you call me a kafir? See, very quickly I will read them all. This is a book called Innahul Haqqu min Rabb. He wrote in defense of Mahdi Mohammed Sarfraz, proof of Mahdi Mohammed Mahdavia. We have done enough work. Unfortunately, you are not curious enough to search for the answers of your questions within the annals of your own religious material. You don't want to go through that. You want, I mean, America is a very strange place. Like since I've come here, I've seen they have made the life so easy here. You don't even have to get into the bank. You can sit in the car and do the banking. Life is so easy here. You are so spoiled. So you want somebody, people like me, to do your job. You don't want to work on your own. So be it, let us do it that way. Let me work. I will bring you what I have, what we have as method. So he said, अपने उस जमाने की किताब 20-25 साल पुरानी हालात आज जो टूवर्ड्स इस्लाम नाम पे आपको भटका के लेके जाना चाह रहा, उसका बात सवाल कर रहा था उस जमाने में। और उसके बाद का कैरेक्टर ये था, कुरान मजीद में अल्लाह तबारक व तआला डिस्क्राइब करता है वैसे लोगों को। अल्लाह ताला बोलता है कि وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, when they meet the people, when they meet the believers, قَالُوا آمَنَّا, they say we are believers, we have believed. وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ, and when they go and meet their devils, قَالُوا إِنَّمَا نَكُمْ, they say we are with you. إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُسْتَهْزِئُونَ, indeed we were making fun. We were trying to be humorous. Allah yastahzi'u bihim. Allah is going to make a humor about you. So that was his father's position. And now he is doing what he is doing. And he is calling in the name of towards Islam. His father was asking these same questions. The son hasn't come up with any new question. We have given replies to all those questions. Nothing is new. तो उस जमाने में the only thing, यानी हमको काफर अगर बोलना चाहते हैं ये लोग तो किस बुनियाद पे बोल सकते हैं? हमारा अकीदा ये, देखिए हम लिखे हैं, हमारे बड़ों ने हमारा अकीदा हमारी किताबों में लिखा है। हमको काफर किस बुनियाद पर कहते हैं? मैं आपको वो बताना चाह रहा हूँ कि हमको काफर क्यों कहते हैं। तुम हमको काफर बोलो, मैं बुरा नहीं मानता क्योंकि मैं तुमको 600 साल से काफर समझ रहा हूँ। I don't mind. You call me a kafir, that's fine. You can be a friend. We can be colleagues. We can collaborate on a project. I have one of the most important friends in my life. They are not Mahdavis. And it does not make any difference. If you want to be my friend and at the same time you want me to change my beliefs to please you, to keep you as my friend, then I think you are not my friend. You are somebody else's friend that you want me to become that. I'm not that inferior person. I will stand with my identity. If I'm born a man, I will call myself a man. If I'm born a woman, I will call myself a woman. There is no confusion of identity in me. And these munafiqeen, they are the transgenders. They neither belong to us nor belong to them. They are the hypocrites और बड़ी आसानी से जिस जमात में गए हुए देवबंदियों में उनको भी धोखा दे देंगे बड़ी आसानी से. And they don't know this Deobandi school of thought, this is supposed to be the most brutal and violent community within the umbrella of Sunni Islam. They will kill people. Just if they think that they have done something wrong, they will kill people. That's how violent ideology this is. Behind all the terrorist organizations across the world, Deobandi ideology is behind every terrorist organization around the world. This is a very violent thing. And these idiots, they are going there and they are sitting with them and they are thinking that they can play with them, and when they get a chance, they can become a Barepi also. Now they are saying that no, we are not Deobandi, we are just Muslims. How can you be a just Muslim? Your father did not have a beard throughout his life, and all of a sudden, you within your family have learned how to read Quran, extract issues from Quran, and teach others how to do namaz, roza, zakat. Right? Have you lost your mind, or you think the rest of the world is insane? Either you are an idiot or you think the others are. So, हमारा जो अकीदा हमारे बुजुर्गों से वो ये आमन तो बिल्लाह, this is what I believe in Allah. वो मलाइकती and all the angels, ورسله and all the mursalin anbiya that Allah has sent, وكتبه, all the books, واليوم الآخر, क़यामत का दिन, والقدر خيره وشره, अच्छे और बुरे का मुकद्दर होना, the destiny of good and bad, min Allahi ta'ala, is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. والبعث بعد الموت حق, और मरने के बाद दोबारा उठाया जाता, raising from the dead. Allah will wake you up from the dead. That is also true. We believe in that. And if I start reading this, I think it will be very long. I have quick notes there, but this is what our elders have written in our books. Allah के रसूल को आखिरी नबी मानते, कुरान को अल्लाह का आखिरी भेजा हुआ दिन, Quran is the last Allah sent religion in this world. There is no Nabi going to come after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we believe that whatever hadith is correct, related to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, if it complies with Quran and Majid, and if it is not against Quran and Majid, then we respect hadith. We don't have a problem with hadith. We respect all the four Aimma. Imam Azam, Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, Imam Ahmad, we respect all their belief systems. And whoever is closer to Quran, we are not binded to any one thought, but whoever is closer to Quran according to what we will take their verdicts in that particular issue, their intentions. What else do you want us to do? This is what we believe. Like you, we pray 5 times a day. आज वक्त की नमाज है, नमाजों की तादाद भी उतनी. फर्क क्या है? तुम भी मेहदी के ऊपर ईमान लाते हैं, हम भी मेहदी के ऊपर ईमान लाते हैं. According to you, whoever is going to be Mahdi, if somebody denies that no, there is no advent of Mahdi, then according to you, he is a kafir. Man ankara al-Mahdi faqad kafar. Hadith says it. Man ankara al-Mahdi faqad kafar. Whoever denies that there will be no Mahdi is a kafir. And this is what every Muslim believes. Like us, that's what we believe. Those who deny Mahdi Maud al-Islam is a kafir. For us, for you, everybody believes that. But for you, your Mahdi is going to come in the end. Your Mahdi is going to come in the end of times. So you are waiting your Mahdi. For us, Hazrath Syed Mohammed John Puri, we were convinced that he was the true Mahdi. हमने उन पे ईमान लाया और उनकी तस्दीक की. आमन्ना व सद्दक़ना. Now our Mahdi has come and gone. Went back. Like Prophet ﷺ, like all the living souls. He came into this world and went back. قد جاء ومضى. आए और गए. इमामुना वो हमारे इमाम है. आमन्ना व सद्दक़ना. हम ईमान लाए और तस्दीक. अब हर वो शख्स देखिए आप, मेहदी का मुनकर काफिर है, आपका भी अकीदा है. जो भी आप जिस किसी को आप मेहदी मानेंगे, जिस किसी को आप मेहदी मानेंगे, अगर उसका कोई इनकार करे तो वो आपकी नजर में काफिर है. ये आपका अकीदा है. मेहदी कोई जो है बादशाह वगैरह ऐसा नहीं है. मेहदी का मनसब, अगर कोई सुन्नत नहीं जानता, सुन्नी अकीदा क्या है नहीं जानता, तो उसको तहकीक करना चाहिए कि सुन्नी बुजुर्गों ने मेहदी के अकीदे के बारे में क्या लिखा है. आप नहीं जानते, इस वजह से मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ. अगर आपको नहीं मिला तो फिर मेरे से पूछिए. मैं आपके बाप दादा क्या बोल के गए वो भी मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ. आई विल चूज फूड फॉर यू टू जस्ट फॉलो एंड डाइजेस्ट. आई एम रेडी टू डू द हार्ड वर्क. तो तुम्हारे मेहदी होंगे. whoever is going to be your Mahdi, anybody who will say I don't believe in Mahdi is a kafir according to you. He will be a kafir. He should be a kafir according to you. Our Mahdi has come and gone, and whoever does not believe that he was Mahdi is a kafir for me. And I have nothing to hide. This is what I believe, and I will not do namaz behind them. I don't see them as mu'mineen. I will not engage with them as mu'mineen. They can be my friends. They can be my business partners. They can be my collaborators in a project. I am ready to work with them to serve the common political agenda of this ummah. But I am not ready to believe that they are mu'min. I am not ready to pray behind them, and I will not say they are mu'mineen. According to me, whoever who has not taken Hazrath Syed Mahdi Maud as Mahdi is a kafir for me, and I will not engage with them in any ways that a mu'min should engage with another mu'min. शादी ब्याह के मामले में, बेटी देने लेने के मामले में, नमाज के मामले में जो हुक्म है, जो एक काफिर का हुक्म है, एक मुसलमान के लिए एक अहले किताब जो हुक्म रखता है, वही हुक्म एक महदवी के लिए गैर महदवी, चाहे वो सुन्नी हो या शिया हो, वही हुक्म रखता है. मेरे छोटे भाई एक दिन जो है ऑस्ट्रेलिया से यूके के लिए जा रहे थे. रास्ते में किसी से गुफ्तगू हो गई, तो बड़ा दिलचस्प वाकया है. थोड़ा सा लाइट जाते हैं, थोड़ा सख्त गुफ्तगू हो गई, थोड़ा लोगों के ऊपर बोल गए. मैं जानता हूँ, but that's who I am, that's how I talk, and that's what I believe. And one thing you will not find me. You can expect me to be anybody, but not one thing. I can never be a hypocrite. I will speak what I believe, whether you like it or not, whether you take it or not. This is who I am. So my brother was traveling from Sydney to UK, London, and during his flight, a Sunni Muslim was sitting beside him, and they were talking. He asked his name, and he asked his name in Ukraine. Got introduced to each other, and they started speaking about the religion, namaz, Quran, and what they're doing. And he asked, "Which Jamaat you belong to?" He said, "I'm a Mahdavia." So after all that communication and conversation, he asked them, "What is the difference between you and us? We all do the same thing. Then why you are called Mahdavia and I am not? And why I am called a Sunni and you are not?" My brother replied, "This is what we believe. This is the belief of a Mahdavia, whether you like it or not. We are not going to facilitate the socio-political interests of individuals or groups within our community or outside our community. किसी का नुकसान होता है, किसी का फायदा होता है, किसी कुछ दे लेना देना नहीं. ये हमारा अकीदा है. जिसको प्रॉब्लम है जा सकते हैं, या फिर अपनी एक नए किस्म की बना लो फॉर्म, इसके अंदर LGBTQ प्लस जैसे लगा के उसके अंदर लगा के प्लस लगा के तुम्हारे अंदर हर किस्म का मैडम भी ले। हमको क्या करना है, हमारा तो एक ही किस्म का है, मन अंकरल महदी फकत कफर, ये हमारा ईमान। तो उसके जवाब में मेरे भाई ने कहा रिप्लाई, he said, the difference between a Jew and a Christian is the difference between a Christian and a Muslim, and is the same difference between a Mahdhavi and a non-Mahdhavi Muslim. When you don't accept Mahdi Muhammad's claim, you fall in the same category as if you have not accepted Prophet's claim or Isa's claim or Musa's claim during their times. जिसने महदी का इनकार किया उसने मोहम्मद का इनकार किया, और जिसने मोहम्मद का इनकार किया उसने कुरान का इनकार किया, जिसने कुरान का इनकार किया उसने खुदा का इनकार किया। ये मेरा अकीदा क्या है, क्यों है, वो सब समझेंगे रफ्ता रफ्ता। आज मैं आपको तारुफ करवा रहा हूँ कि आप कौन है। This is your introduction to yourself. Know who you are. You may be having a friend who is not as strong believer as this is. You may be having a family member, you may be having a family situation, but do you expect me to change the entire belief system because somebody's daughter has fallen in love with somebody else? Because somebody has to do business with somebody else? Because somebody has political aspirations that includes the interest of somebody else? You go out and you do your job. अपनी काबिलियत मनवाओ, चाहे सियासत के मैदान में हो, कारोबार में हो या जॉब की जगह हो, जाओ अपना काम करो, अपने हिस्से का काम मजहब के आड़ में, मजहब के नाम पे। भाई हम भी तुम्हारे नजदीक सुनिए, हमको भी काम पे रख लो। Why this cheap? How cheap is that? If you are a doctor, prove your what? Prove your what? If you are an engineer, talk in terms of technology. Leave this hypocrisy. If you want to go, just go away. Yesterday I was talking to my brother and he shared a beautiful story with me. With that I will conclude my today's lecture. On a lighter note, maybe that is supposed to be a light note. A imam was leading a prayer in a prayer hall like this hall, and about 100 people were standing behind him for these prayers, sent namaz. And a man wearing a mask entered into that hall, drawn his sword, and said, "I will kill every Muslim who is standing here. I will kill every Muslim who is standing here." Everybody ran away. Imam Sahab was left with only three Muslims. They all had to run away. So Imam Sahab was left with only 3 Muslims. And that masked man removed his mask and said, "Let all 5 of us start our prayers. Munafiqeen have run away. We are left with only Mu'mins." So the moral of the story is, let the Munafiqeen run away. If you're tired of this community, go away. We don't need you. Who cares? Who cares? And if you talk trash about us, then we can dig your graves. We haven't done it so far, but now I've decided that it has been enough of defensive mode. We have been in defense for the past 600 years. I will start asking questions about your legitimacy, and believe it or not, your forefathers will cry in their graves about the grave mistake. I can do that. I will do that if needed. So leave us alone. Those who want to go, go. We don't want you. Let the hypocrites get out of the hall. And let us live with all the mu'mineen who are left, who are committed with their lives towards Mahdi Mohammed Salam, towards Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, towards Quran and towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is how somebody will be tested. And Quran says you will be tested. Without this test, nobody can be a mu'min. So we all have to go this test of being a Mahdavi. Just because we all have to go through this test, I shall pray in the end to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma ilna Mahdaviyyan wa amitna Mahdaviyyan wakshurna yawm al-qiyamati fi zumratil Mahdaviyyin. Because a Mahdavi is the mu'min according to me. A Mahdavi is a miskin according to me. He may be having a lot of money in his pocket, but his heart is humble. He is a miskin. तो अल्लाह से दुआ है कि अल्लाह हम सबको सिरात मुस्तकीम पर चलने की और महदवियत से वफा करने की तौफीक अता फरमाए. और अगर एक दूसरे से छोटी मोटी बातों पर कोई गिले शिकवे अगर एक दूसरे को है, होता है. चार लोग जमा, मस्जिद एक ऐसी जगह है, कम्युनिटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन where people gather, ये ऐसी जगह है जहाँ पे people come from with different opinions. So difference of opinion is bound to be there. Be kind towards each other, be affectionate towards each other, be, tolerant towards each other's smaller and bigger mistakes, as long as you can tolerate these mistakes and collaborate, coordinate with each other to come together as a community. You need to have a sense of belonging. You don't have the sense of belonging. That is what I'm trying to do. For the past 20 years, there needs to be a sense of belonging. Take pride in saying who you are. So to develop this sense of belonging, brothers need to love each other. They need to come together. They need to give reasons to come together. मैंने एक शेर कहा था कि नुसरत दीन की शर्त है और इसी में है बका. नुसरत दीन की शर्त है और इसी में है बका. मिलने लगो जो तुम गले दिल भी मिला लिया करो. गले मिल के घर मत चले जाओ, दिल मिलाकर घर जाओ. तो people need to come together. और ये एक खास माहौल भी देख रहा हूँ कि people of suburbs, they think they are somebody else. And people living in the city, they think they are somebody else. And for some reason, this community is not willing to come together. Even in this situation, if you're doing something here in the suburb, reach them out. Try to call them to your place. Where is the sense of community? Where is the sense of belonging? And if you're having an event in the mainland city, they can reach you out. They should reach you out. That's how communities grow. So, interests of individual organizations should not be put over the interests of collective community. Community is collective interest. Work with each other, collaborate with each other. एक दूसरे के साथ कुछ भी करो, कोई प्रोग्राम्स बनाओ, आप उसको एक्सिक्यूट करो, लोगों को एक दूसरे के करीब लेके आओ. That's how you grow as a community. That's how you grow as a community. तो अल्लाह ताला से मेरी दुआ है कि अल्लाह तमाम के काम को आसान करे और हमारी खिदमत को कबूल करे. वाखिर दावाना अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन.
We will take we have a Q&A session. If anybody in the hall does have any questions, please let us know. I'll pass the mic along to you. Even in the ladies, if you have questions, I can pass the mic. We'll wait a few minutes for the questions to come in, and then the next will be we'll take questions from the online session that we are having, and followed by the questions that were submitted to our Ask a Scholar website.
ऑनलाइन एक है
हजरत ऑनलाइन एक सवाल आया है.
जी जी.
Is the meaning of miskin mean poor and misery, or it means humbleness?
मिस्कीन के बिल्कुल माना ये नहीं है कि भिखारी है, भीख मांग रहा, रोड पे बैठा हुआ है, कपड़े फटे, कचरे का थैला उसको खाने पे, मिस्कीन बोले तो आपकी मदद में ये है. वो इंसान जिसने दुनिया का माल जमा नहीं किया और अल्लाह की याद में अपने वक्त को सर्फ कर दिया, वो इंसान बहुत ज्यादा दौलत के पीछे नहीं भागा जिंदगी में, जिसने दुनिया के ज्यादा माल असबाब जमा नहीं किया. अल्लाह के रसूल के कई असाब थे, असाब में सोफा और खुद मौला अली का मौका अगर आप देखेंगे तो सारी जिंदगी मिस्किनी की अल्लाह के हजरत मौला अली ने गुजारी. पैसा होने के बावजूद हजरत उस्मान ने मिस्किनी की जिंदगी गुजारी. किसी ने मेहदी मौत से सवाल किया कि मेहदी मौत ने फरमाया मोमिन जखीरा ना खोना, मोमिन बहुत ज्यादा माल नहीं जमा करे. तो लोगों ने सवाल किया मेहदी मौत से, उस्मान थे, उस्मान भी तो थे, उनके पास तो माल था. तो मेहदी मौत ने फरमाया उस्मान जैसे बनो तो माल रखना. Be Usman, then give whatever you want. So you have to be miskin at your heart. आपका रवैया, अखलाक, तौर तरीका, ये सारी चीजों में मिस्किनी आपकी नजर आनी चाहिए. सिर्फ पैसे की ही बात नहीं, उसमें आपका मिजाज, रवैया, ये सारी चीजें शामिल.
एक सवाल आपसे यही लगते हुए बोले थे डिवाइस इन द ट्रांसफर रिलीजन थिंग बट सूरा अनाम वर्स नंबर 6 में अल्लाह खुद बोल रहे हैं तुम लोग बंटवारा मत सब इस बहुत है मत होना. American English, those who have divided the religion of different sects, or Muhammad are not associated with them. They assume it's only left to them, even inform them about what they used to be. So,
बात ये है कि अल्लाह जो हुक्म किया अगर उम्मत की बात करना रहती तो मैंने समझता कि मुझसे ज्यादा मुस्लिम लोग शायद खुश होगा. मेहदी मोहम्मद अलैहिस्सलाम को ताकि बाद में दावा किए उस बुनियाद पे तकसीर का जो मसला है तो बिल्कुल दिस इज अ वेरी न्यू थिंग. Muslims have been killing each other since Prophet Sallallahu life itself. When he passed away, you see how Muslims started fighting each other. The Bedouins started doing revolts against Muslims, against Islam itself. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had to fight them. So Allah has ordered you not to do something that is a different thing, but you will do it or not is a very different thing. This was an eventuality, and based on this eventuality, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has predicted so many things, and his predictions, his prophecies, prophesied so many things based upon the preferences that are going to occur within Islamic sect, Islamic community. So this division, it all started long ago, immediately after Prophet. It is to little debt going on, and it is not for me to bring every Muslim together. If they are willing to come to me, if they are coming to come under the umbrella of the Prophet, I will invite them. I will do anything that it takes. If they all are coming, willing to come to my community, but in doing so, if you expect me to change, in doing so, if you expect me to renounce my own identity and become something else, I'm sorry, that is not me. That I cannot do. Because I think what I have learned from my elders is the best version of Islam, and everybody should adhere that version. That's what I believe. So it is, of course, my niyyat to bring the entire community, entire ummah together. And if possible, even book people of book, I don't want them to die. I have my sympathies, I have my love, affection, the way I have my love and affection for people who have believed Prophet ﷺ and who are Muslims. Similarly, I feel for those who believe in Allah, Tawheed. I don't want them to suffer in this world and in the life after. So if Allah is willing to bless them all with Iman, then I will be the most happiest person on the earth. That's what I believe. But that is not going to happen because that is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decided. He does not want something, does not mean that will not happen. He does not want people to do sin. But people will do, that is the eventuality. So it was not me who has separated these communities. They are separated since the inception of Islam, and they will go on getting separated based upon individual thoughts and individual interpretations of Quran, Hadith, and whatever they are following. Even within Mahdavia community, we have so many different versions. Like we have not one solid community. We have so many differences even within Muslim Mahdavia community. So these intellectual differences are bound to be there. They will be there. They are something that we are not worried about. But based upon these differences, one message I would like to give, this is a very important this question I have to give this message to the entire Ummah, that Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was sent to educate you on things that you did not know. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says in Quran Majid, Kama arsalna fikum rasulam minkum. From among you, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent a Rasul to you, from me, among you. Yatlu alaykum ayatina. With him, we have sent our ayats. Wa yuzakkikum, so that he purifies you. Or taskiya kar sake. Wa yuallimukumul kitaba. And give you the knowledge of book, Quran Majid. And he says, well, hikmata and wisdom that is there in that book. Well, yu'allimukum ma lam takunu ta'lamun, and to teach you something that you did not know. So, what Allah said to Rasul Akram sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, all that remains in Quran. Now, Prophet sallallahu is not among us. If we have a doubt, we can turn towards Quran. If we have a doubt, we can turn towards Quran. But every individual has a different mind. Every individual has different mindset. Every individual has different interests. Not all the decisions, not all the intentions of all these scholars are based on their sincerity. Sometimes they were driven by their motives. Sometimes they were driven by the financial, social interests. Whatever that was. Everything. जो भी हो सकता है, मगर बात ये है कि everybody is bound to have a different interpretation. Even about Quran. So you cannot agree with me, that is fine, but please, for God's sake, don't kill me. I know you have guns. I know you have power. You are a very powerful community. You have resources. We are humble people. We are miskin, masakin. We don't have that kind of resources. If we all love this community, and if we all want this community to come together, and if we all want this community to work in harmony with each other, the least thing that we can do is, of course, I will not pray behind you. You don't pray behind me. I don't want you to come and pray behind me. I will not come and pray behind you. It is fine. But for God's sake, we can unite for the sake of socio-political interests of this community. You start killing each other. At least you do that part, then we can sit together and discuss on so many different things that needed to be discussed, and then we can try to bring as much as closer as possible, people together. So that's what my message to this community is. This ummah is, for God's sake, if you are not convinced by somebody, give them some time, let them live. Don't shoot them, don't kill them. I have a problem with the killing of those who you are not agreed with. Prophet ﷺ is not here, Allah is not talking to you, so there is no judge between you and me. You may interpret Quran in a different manner than I interpret. These things cannot be resolved between you and me. By yourself, by myself. Let Allah decide things on the day of judgment. For God's sake, stop this terrorism, stop killing. We are tired of this bloodshed of the innocent people, innocent kids, children dying. I'm a very tiny, minute community, micro community. Whatever decisions I make will have no implications. But what you are deciding is killing people. You are thriving by drinking the blood of innocent Muslims. For God's sake, first stop them. And then we can have discussion by civilized people.
Online question submit kiya gaya hai. What is the meaning of Bahra in English and Urdu? And what is the meaning and concept of Bayaan? Who is multiple questions?
This is an altogether a very different question.
Yeah.
Different from the topic we are communicating together. However, very briefly I will tell, Bahra can be read as a part of something, a part of fortune, hissa, किस्मत का हिस्सा, खुश नसीबी का हिस्सा, कोई गैबी इनाम का हिस्सा, कोई फतेह, कोई भी चीज से हिस्सा, getting a part from anything precious, divine importance, divine significance. इसका जो हिस्सा होता है उसको बहरा होता है.
Keep in mind the time we have. We could take one more question. Question from that was submitted to ask a scholar. Who performed the ghusl of Hazrat Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha after her passing? It is narrated that Hazrat Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha commanded her husband that you already gave that answer. And in accordance to her wishes, Imam Ali carried out ghusl and then covered her body in 7 pieces of cloth. If this narration is correct, then why does our community uphold the tradition that a wife or a husband is not allowed to see the face of their deceased spouse?
Whoever has asked this question, tell that brother that I am reviewing this question. I am asking the same question to the community. I am with him. I don't want Sattar Mood, Sattar Hazar Mood, whoever Allah is going to offer me. I am content with my wife. I want her in this world and I want her in Jannah as well. Because I am so habituated to her that it is not possible for me to accommodate with the offerings that Allah has to offer Jannah in terms of more. One is more than enough. That's me. And the very idea that a woman becomes na-mahram for the man after death and the man becomes na-mahram for the woman after death, I'm not convinced by the idea itself. This argument is baseless, worthless. If a person deserves to express his or her grief, it has to be the spouse. And my heart, it was torn apart when I had to stop my grandmother seeing my grandfather's face and my Muslim's face. just because we have this fatwa in our community. I haven't renounced this fatwa. I haven't spoken against this fatwa. I haven't yet decided against this fatwa, but I am all against it. I'm all against it. If a woman wants to see her man's face after his death, according to me, she has the right to see. If a man wants to see his wife's face after her death, he can definitely see. Mawla Ali did ghusl, kafan of his wife and takfeen of his wife. And if this is possible, then there cannot be another example better than this tape and lead from. So this is what it is. But very unfortunately, lately our community, just because our ulama were learning from Hanafi scholars, Hanafi schools, they started believing that Mahdawis are also Hanafis. And they started taking all the fatwas of Imam Azam. The fact of the matter is that Mahdi is neither a Hanafi, nor a Hanbali, nor a Shafi'i, nor a Malik. But he can be anybody and all four of them. Mahdi Muhammad said, Mazhabin Kitabullah wa Ittiba'i Rasulullah. Kitabullah and Ittiba'i Rasulullah. These are the two things that are more important for us. And we believe that all the four Imams are on haq. They all are haq. They have done a right thing. Their intentions were clear. They were sincere in their work. But in interpreting something, whoever is closer to Quran has a Mahdi, it is a duty to take that from that Imam. I am not binded to Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki or Hanbali school of thought. You keep this thing in mind. Unfortunately, there was an incident of divorce. A man had said 3 talaq at once. His murshid approved his talaq, and that girl was my murid. I had to go to that murshid. Despite having so many differences, I went there just to save a life, just to save a family. I went there and tried to convince that murshid based upon what Quran has to say. Quran prohibits a man from saying 3 talaqs at once. And as a matter of fact, we don't take that. That is against Quran. Anything that is against Quran. So I tried to convince that murshid. Now he has passed away. May his ears be directed towards Jannah. He said, I take the fatwa of Imam Azam. I said, we are meddling. We don't have to take Imam Azam's fatwa. He said, I am Hanafi. What do you have to say about it? I said, I came to you knowing that you are a Mahdi. If you say you are a Hanafi, then I have no business to you. Thank you very much. I went away. But I could not save that family. The groom was willing to reconcile. And just because of this jahala, the family was separated forever. So we are not Hanafis.
दूसरे जो लोग थे शौक नहीं देखने दे रहे थे चेहरा, लेकिन जमीन में बोले कि भाई आप बराबर देख सकते चेहरा,
देख सकते बिल्कुल बीवी शौहर का चेहरा उससे ज्यादा गम करने का तो किसी को हक ही नहीं है दुनिया में। ना कि रसूल बीवी के लिए शौहर का गम सबसे बड़ा गम रखी नहीं अल्लाह और उसके रसूल बीवी के लिए शौहर का आम लोगों की मैयत पे 3 दिन से ज्यादा का गम नहीं कर सकते, मगर शौहर की मौत के ऊपर अल्लाह ताला ने औरत को 4 महीने 10 दिन के गम का हुक्म दिया है। अगर जवान औरत है तो कितना चाहे 3 महीने तो की करेगी 3 महीने, कोई आसान बात नहीं।
शुक्रिया। Giving time to spend, we have to wrap up now.
4:30.
Jazakallah khair for everybody coming and making this event successful. And बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमें आपका आपके इवेंट भी शांत रहा है। और आखिरी सवाल है किसी का इंतजार होगा तो बोलियत पे जब लोग आते हैं लेकिन नमाज में यहाँ जरूरी है या आगे जना की नमाज पढ़ी कर जाते हैं तो पहले मुस्तफा देने जरूरी है या नहीं कोई जरूरी नहीं। अच्छा बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे हैं और वक्त की तंगी के बावजूद तालों पर की दुनिया से शरीक होने के अपने मकसद करके नमाज से शरीक होकर जना की नमाज पढ़ मतलब मुस्तफा की कोई जरूरी नहीं वक्त के सब क्या के मुख्य साथ जरूरी नहीं है मगर मुखालिफ है वो मुख्य साथ देंगे और जो गरीब मुख्य साथ है उसकी अगला की जिम्मेदारी ये है कि ज्यादा नबी साथ भी दे और अगर कोई नहीं चाहता है तो उसके पास कोई नहीं। आखिरी सवाल बाहर वालों की नियत नहीं कर सकते किसी कीमत के बाहर वो खरीदी है और एक कुछ नहीं आप हम सारी कर सकते आप बाहर वाले सारी कर सकते आप बाहर वाले की नियत के ऊपर ताकि उनकी तकलीफ को सपोर्ट कर सकते जो आपसे हो सका उनके वास्ते कर सकते मगर उनकी नमाज जनाजा सबर के बावजूद पढ़ने में इतना काम नहीं कर सकते इसे दिक्कत नहीं कर सकते एक महदवी के वास्ते जायज नहीं। All the questions are submitted online. The were not answered. We could answer those questions to ask the counselor and will be posted on our website, promisemahdi.com. There's like a there for everybody from coming to the event. Let it be on both.